What's up, everybody? It is January 24th, 2026, and today we're going to be diving into the upcoming weather patterns to see what the weather has in store for us. Looking at the 2-meter temperature anomaly in Fahrenheit, we can see we have tons of cold air in the eastern United States and south central Canada. As we move on, this really intensifies over, let's say, whatever is east of Colorado. We've got, which I think it's Kansas, we've got Oklahoma, and we've got Texas. Absolutely getting walloped with cold air. And as we scroll on, we can see another cold shot attempting to go south of the Canadian border, and especially right here in Texas again. This is a very strong shot of cold air because it is rare, well, I wouldn't say like extremely rare, but it is kind of rare to see cold air go as far south as Texas. And this cold air kind of lingers and fluctuates, but it does stay and doesn't plan on going anywhere until we have this warmer brand of air. And then as we scroll on, I want you to keep your eyes up here into northern Canada, just east of Alaska. We can see this river start to form, which, as we have this ridge here, like we talked about, could be blocking the cold air from going into the west and funnel it right into the east, which would affect millions of people. So keep your eyes on the forecast for those months. But as we look at the 2-meter temperature in Fahrenheit, we can see we've got tons of colder air on, this is today now. Over the Great Lakes, it does moderate a little bit. Just north of the United States into south central Canada, we could be as much as 50 below zero. So if you live there, not sure if you do, but if you do, make sure you have a backup heating source and you stay warm. These kinds of temperatures, you can get frostbite in as short of 10 minutes. So do not go outside unless you absolutely have to. And if you absolutely have to, make sure you're geared up in appropriate winter clothing. This is potentially deadly and potentially record-breaking. As we scroll on, speaking of which, we could see some warmer air coming into Florida, which is no big surprise at all. That is completely normal. And we can see tons of colder air kind of just hanging out over the Rockies and Cascade Mountains, especially in the Sierra Nevadas, but that does fluctuate a little bit. And we still have some solid cold air coming in from Hudson Bay and Alberta, Canada. We've got some colder air, especially at the end of the run here. This is the end of the run. We could see some colder air kind of going down and then up. So this could be possibly 8 degrees, 0 degrees, just about at 0. So this is still cold. You could get frostbite in about an hour or so is my best guess. Make sure you look it up because you can fact check me all you want, okay? I care about y'all's safety. I don't know for sure. I could give best estimates based on my knowledge. Sorry for that sound. My microphone is just a little sensitive. Not sure if you heard that sound, but anyways, looking at the 500 millibar height dam in Anomaly M, we could see we've got this ridge of high pressure, which is finally starting to moderate and then leave the west, because I feel bad for the people out west, including myself, because I am out west. It's been really warm and sunny, while the east has been getting all these Arctic blasts and stuff. Looking at a trough starting to form, let's go back a little bit. This was starting to affect parts of Washington, Idaho, and the Pacific Northwest a little bit. The rule of thumb is Washington, Oregon, and Idaho are the general Pacific Northwestern states. And as we scroll on, we can see this trough intensify and move towards the east, while we start to have a ridge form over the west, and you'll see what I mean later. It is not at all as strong as that last ridge that we saw, but we definitely don't want any ridges if we want snow, especially for snow in the lowlands, especially in the Seattle area. As we scroll on, we can see this massive trough forming just off the coast of the Pacific Ocean, and this eventually just fluctuates and goes away, while we have another ridge start forming with its eye dead on Washington, which sucks if you live in Washington. If you want snow in Washington, well, it's not looking too good for you. Unless you get lucky with an Arctic shot. So let's hope we get some troughs forming over the west along with the east and hope for some snow. Looking at our 168-hour precipitation total in inches, this is also 7 days, so it's 1 week. You could see as we max this out here, we could see tons of precipitation out in the Pacific Northwest here, but as we max this out, it actually kind of goes down, so we might be a little bit below average, while Texas is getting the blunt of the attack on the United States, unless I can't really assume that, unless we go to Alaska. So let's go to Alaska. Alaska is actually getting a lot of precipitation. If you're down here, you can see some pretty high totals. I probably shouldn't have assumed that, but back to the United States of America, we could see tons of precipitation overall, but it does fluctuate, especially in the Pacific Northwest. Wow. So we max this out here, we're only going to see about 0.2 inches, so we might even be facing a little bit of a drought for them, which may not seem unusual for the rest of us here in the United States, but the Pacific Northwest is generally right in the path of atmospheric rivers, so that is why it is called the rainy states. But we could also look at our accumulative max wind gust. We can see it's not too bad unless they're actually in Washington. We can see, let's actually go to Washington real quick. Going to Washington. We could see it's not too bad here for the rest of us if we're east of this. But here in the Olympics, that's 56 miles an hour, and there's some grays, and the grays are 70 miles an hour. So watch out for that if you live there. Not sure many people do, but just putting the word out there. Back to the rest of the United States. We could see just off the coast of the east is some high winds, but luckily it's missing us, unless you live here or off here, which you can't live off of here because there's no islands. Here, right here where my cursor is, and right here I would say is probably the highest risk for high winds. Looking at our snow. Yes, it is time for the snow. All right, we are looking at our 46-day snow, 10-to-1 ratio in inches. This is on March 10th, 2026. This is the European Extended Ensemble mean. We can see we have tons of snow, absolutely walloping the northeastern United States. Those lake effect machines are officially on. Tons of snow, and I mean tons of snow for the mountains out west. If you live in Snoqualmie Pass, Clay Elum, Leavenworth, Wenatchee, Washington, those places are going to be really high on their snow. Same for any other places in Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, Colorado, Utah. We've got Nevada, the Sierra Nevada Mountains. Looking at our 7-day snow, we could see this is today. This is January. Actually, no, it's not today. It's January 30th. Okay, I'm just going to point this out. There is like no snow, even in the higher elevations by Mount Baker. That is crazy. Talk about Telluride. Guys, Telluride is not going to have any snow. I mean, barely. But as we move on, we can see it kind of starts to come back, which is good because we need the snow for ski resorts to open. Jeez Louise, look at this. But let's just hope this gets better. Looking at our control model, we could see tons of snow for Rhode Island, tons of snow for the mountains out west. Let's hope that this changes because this is not as much snow for the mountains out west because if you look at 4 runs ago, we could see there was this amount of snow for the mountains out west. So this is crazy. But this is the latest run, which I should show you guys. Let's hope it changes to show more snow. Let's hope for snow. I will see you guys this afternoon and Sunday mornings. So until then, make sure to like and subscribe, comment, and share this video with friends and family. And I will see you this afternoon.